Hello there. We're going to adjust this. Welcome to Backyard Barbecue Everything. I'm your host, Zachary Brewerton, and today we're going to go over one of my favorite ways to cook a very, very tough piece of beef if done incorrectly, and it is the tri-tip. So today I'm going to go over what I have, how we're going to cook it, how we're going to prepare it, how we're going to go forward with this and get her rolling. So I'm going to set the phone down here. I'm trying to do better for you guys in the future as far as preparing it, how we go with it. I don't have a tripod or a cameraman today. My son is not here, so bear with me. I'm doing the best I can. But basically what we have here is we have a already hand trimmed piece of tri-tip. I've got parchment paper lined up to make it easier to season. And what we have today is, like I said, it's a hand-trimmed 2-pound tri-tip. The other thing I want to point out to you guys, tri-tip is different. I'm going to put it on here so you can see that there's grains that run here this way, but also down towards the bottom of it, you can see grains running this way. They kind of like somewhere in the middle here where this cap changes. Tri-tip is a very odd, different cut of beef. It gets its name for being the tip of a roast right by the sirloin. That's where this portion is here. The grains run this way, and as you can see, it's not a very fatty cut of beef. It is pretty much on the lean side, so you either have to cook this rare to medium rare like you would a filet, or you're going to have to do a low and slow style like a brisket, because it doesn't get a whole lot of movement, so it's a very, very, very tough piece of meat sometimes. But today, what I want to go over with you is how we season it. I have, and don't mind the bottles, I'm just starting out. We're going to try and do something here in the future, but I've got my all-purpose magic seasoning. I also have, as you can see, it's listed, Fire Pit. Excuse my handwriting also. This is my hot style barbecue rub. And then to finish it off, we're going to go with some texture. This is my steak texture rub. This kind of gives it an outer crust, and I'll go over that as well too. So all of these pieces of products that I'm going over with you, you have to season them a certain way. Because this is already trimmed and there's nothing I really need to do to it, we're going to go ahead and season it so we can get this cook underway. I'm just going to position this a little bit more up front to make life easier for me as well. So with the all-purpose magic seasoning, the way I do it, whatever seasoning you lay down first on your beef or any product you're working with, that's going to be the foundation. Where do those notes come from during your cooking? So we're going to do a medium to light coat of this all-purpose seasoning. And what you want to do is make sure you don't rub it in, you just kind of pat it. You don't really do a whole lot with it. And you just kind of want to lightly go over. Just kind of lightly coat it, I guess. You can go a little heavy with this if you want. If you don't have this, which is not out on the market, this is basically just an all-purpose seasoning. So use whatever all-purpose seasoning you want to use with it. So once you get that done, you kind of want to let this sit in, work its magic. So I'm going to let this sit for about 5 to 10 minutes tops, and then we'll be back to show you what else I do with it as well. All right, you guys, we're back. It's been 5 minutes. Spin this around for you so you can see. As you can see, mostly all you can see left in there are granules of pepper. What happens is when you put other seasonings on beef, the first couple of minutes that it's on there, it's actually going to work into the meat. It's going to draw out some of that moisture and work its flavors into it. So at this point, what you're doing is you're making sure that you are allowing a couple of minutes for those flavors and seasonings to penetrate into the meat. The next step that I do is optional. You don't have to. Oh, and let's not forget, we're in Rochester, New York here. This is a non-alcoholic beer. I'm doing this so this way I can still drink and get the flavor and taste, but I'm trying to remain sober for this whole thing. I have a equal part steak sauce, Worcestershire sauce, and water, whichever one you prefer. I'm just going to take a light coating of this and brush it onto the beef. There's two reasons why I do this. One, it'll kind of act as a binder. I wanted to give the all-purpose seasoning time to adhere into the beef. And as you can see, none of the flavoring is brushing, or not flavoring, the seasoning is brushing away after I do this. I'm just doing a very, very light coat. It mainly acts as a binder, and what it'll do is it'll kind of add a little bit of that Worcestershire style marinating taste-wise that you don't normally get. It's just an extra added layer of flavor with a binder probabilities to it. It also leaves a little bit of light moisture layer out on the top. And that's it. You just got to make sure that all sides are coated lightly. Equal parts. 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon, 1 teaspoon. So water, Worcestershire, and steak sauce. And that's it. The next seasoning that we're going for, I want to lay down the barbecue style texture of this. So what I'll do, I'm going to show you here with the fire pit sauce, or fire pit rub. Wow. We don't want it to go. This is a hot style barbecue rub, so it has those smoky notes, the sweet notes, the heat notes that you look for in a barbecue style rub. And then we're going to apply a light to medium coat of this on the outside. So I'm just going to do a light coat, as you can see, like that, and get some on the outer edges here. And then we're going to flip over to the other side and repeat the process here. Just kind of pat it. We're not rubbing it into the beef. You guys should smell this. It smells fantastic already. Last but not least is we're adding texture. A good steak has a crust with texture on it. You're not going to get that from basic seasonings. So what we have to do is we've got to step our game up here, and we have to add some of that classic Texas style, peppery, Montreal seasoning, coriander style texture with the crust. So this we're just going to kind of go light as well. We don't want to overpower it, so we're just going to add some crust to it. That's what we got going on here. You can see the colors changed a little bit also, and that's from the hot pit rub. And if you don't have any of these rubs here, that's okay. Use what you feel comfortable with. If you've got an all-purpose seasoning, a barbecue, or a hot rub, and then a favorite steak seasoning, do them in that order. Of course, with the Worcestershire binder there. That's just me. Do it how you see comfortable and fit. All right, so we're going to let this hang out now for about 10 minutes while I go fire up the pit. And then I'll show you what we're working with, and we'll be back here shortly. All right, guys, we're back. So what we're working with today here, as you can see, I got a charcoal basket that's kind of a little overflowed. I have my El Cheapo kettle grill that I got at Walmart for 90 bucks. So part of why I'm doing it on this is to show you, A, you can make great, excellent barbecue and cook on an El Cheapo, but you also have to make sure that I'm trying to do this as backyard everything. You know, if down the road you get new equipment, then you can do it that way, but the point is, do it on any style cooker you see fit. It's just that, you know, with it being a kettle style here, it's more affordable. So anyways, you can see I've got a temperature probe running to my Ink 6X, well, my Inkford 6X. I love this thing. I paid 70 bucks for it. It's a great thermometer. It's got 6 probes, and it's very, very accurate. I know everybody's into the thermopins, but I can't afford them right now. So working with what we got, we have it probed. I have 2 probes sticking out of it. One's going to go in the meat and one stays on the grill, so I have temperature monitored. We are going to be doing indirect cooking as well. So as you can see, we've got the charcoal to one side and we're going to have the cooking chamber to the other. This cook could range anywhere from 55 minutes to an hour and a half, and we're going to be doing a smoke temp on it, and we're going to try to keep our grill maintained somewhere between 250 and 300. Tri-tip is one of those meats where it's very forgiving as long as you keep the temperature somewhat consistent. So over in here, I've got a couple of chunks of mesquite, 1 chunk of hickory, and a couple of pecan chips. That's what's going to be using to giving the tri-tip some smoke flavor. We don't want to put a ton of smoke flavor into it because it's only going to be on for such a short period of time. We don't want to overpower the tri-tip with smoke flavor. So you just want to be able to get it in there, get some smoke flavor, and let it do its work to the meat. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to get the tri-tip on here, and we're going to get it rolling. All right, you guys. So as you can see, I have put the tri-tip on. I have found the somewhat thickest part of the tri-tip and stuck a probe in there. And then I have another probe on the indirect side so I can monitor cooking temperature. I have taken the wood chips and the couple of chunks and stuck them in there. And they're getting a nice little fire on them. We can also see in here that it's hard to see it as recording it, but the it might keep flickering on you, but probe 3 is the grill temp, probe 4 is the meat temp. We got 43 degrees because it's been coming up from room temperature a little bit, 45 degrees now, and we're looking at 126 with the lid off. So I'm going to get the lid on here for you guys. We're going to get this rolling, and we'll come back when the internal temperature reaches about 115. That's when I'm going to start checking for temperature around it. I'm going to do a small reverse sear on it, get some grill marks on both of the sides, and then replace it back to the heat till it hits about 130. So we'll be back when this is ready to do the next step. All right, guys, so I did forget to mention, I put the lid back on. My vents here, as you can see, they're running about 1/4 open. And we're getting some nice blue smoke here. What you want to see is you want clean smoke coming out of your pit. You don't want white, dirty, overpowering smoke. Because if you look, as I open the lid, you can see right through the smoke and it kind of dissipated. You want to be able to get that smoke nice and clean, so this way the flavors are predominant. I also have my bottom vent triggered about 1/4 away as well. Just by taking the lid off the grill, it dropped the temperature down to about 205. The meat's at 46. By having those temperatures like that, I mean, look, we're already climbing again as I'm talking, and it's been 1 minute. We are at 225 grill, 230, and the meat's about 46. By running it that way, it's going to allow it to stay stable. You can see my grill, my actual fire, is right around 500 over here, give or take. My pit over this fire here is more around that 380 range. This thermometer is not the most accurate. Now that we've been on here, we've been stable at 262. And we got that smoke coming out. So that's the temperature we want to be at. We're going to stay stable in that 260-ish range. And we're going to let this go till I said the, temperature reaches 110, 115-ish. I'm going to put it to 110, and that's when we'll start doing a reverse sear on it as well. But just to keep in mind, to get that smoke flow, you want to keep your upper vent opposite the fire, so this way smoke rolls through and past the meat. So I'll catch you back on the next video when we get to where we need to be. Thanks. All right, guys, we are back. So as you can see, our grill's been stabilized to about 250, 255-ish or so, right around there. It fluctuates here and there. because I just took the top off, as you can see, and the grill right there is 266. We reached the temperature of about 110, 113 on there, so we're just going to take our probe out and we are going to set it here temporarily, and we're going to get some color on this beef. Let me find some tongs. Right here, right on the grill, my fault. So what we're going to do here is we are going to take our tri-tip and we're going to put it right here. As you can hear it and see it now, we got some color on her. We're going to do 45 seconds flip, 45 seconds flip. Repeat the process twice for 1.5 minutes sear on each side to give it some color, and we'll be good to go. We got about another 30 seconds to go here. And because it's only going to take 2 minutes, I'll walk you guys through it and we'll get it from there. Just to give you a recap here, it has been about 40 to 45 minutes-ish that this was on here. Just kind of what I expected. And what's nice about this method here is you can see the coals are hot and you got embers, but you're going to be able to sear this thing nicely with this style indirect heating method. So we've been on now for roughly 45 seconds. So we're just going to kind of give this thing a, if I can get in with it and give it another twist here. You can hear it again. We're getting some more marks. Yeah, so with this here, it's going to give it a total cooking time right now as it sits about 45 minutes. This here is going to raise the temperature up a few degrees, but not much. We should probably be somewhere in the ballpark of 115 to 120. We're going to reset the alarm and let it finish off at 130. And then we'll pull it and rest it for about 10 minutes, and then we should be good to go. So I'll keep you guys in the loop here. And you know, I'm estimating 30, 45 seconds and a flip here, so this way we get even cooking. I'm going to go and flip it now again. And as you can see, we're starting to get that nice, beautiful color on the outside of that tri-tip, which is what we want. I do have a timer sitting me in front of the phone here, so when this hits, we got another 30 seconds to go. I'll flip it, and then we'll be in the ballpark there. So I'm just doing this here to show you this is how you do a reverse sear. Reverse sear is when you sear whatever piece of beef or meat you're cooking at the end of the cook. A front sear is when you sear it first and then you slow cook it at the end here. So this is just something I'm just showing you guys. This is my favorite method. It allows you to still get beautiful color, but then you get a bark, not really a bark, but a crust on the outside that's not going to, you know, overpower the meat, which is what we're not trying to do here. We want to get that beefy flavor, but we also want to be able to get some nice texture to it as well. So once this hits about 45 seconds and another 30 seconds, we'll be good to go. And that's all. And just to show you again, that is the kind of color that we're looking to get out of this tri-tip. You can see the seasoning there. It's kind of still stuck to the outside, so we're going to get texture from that seasoning. We do have slight grill marks as well, which is what we were accomplishing, but overall we have a nice, beautiful color. You do notice here that there is a little bit of a mahogany, which means that the tri-tip is taken in the smoke from the wood. So now we're just going to turn this over again, and we're going to replace it back down on the original side in the same thing here. So you can see we got some nice marks. We got a sear going. That's where we want it to be. We are going to replace our probe in roughly the same spot where we had it here. I'm just going to set my phone down so we can do so. And after doing that, I'm not getting a good probe because, as you can see, it's saying it's 138 and it shouldn't. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pull out a different meat thermometer here, and we're just going to probe it. After probing, you can see the temperature went up to 117, 115. We're going to probe the front side. It is going up a little bit higher, but we're going to go into this fat side here. We're 122, 120, so we're technically at about 120 degrees. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to stick this probe. I had to set the phone down a little, right in the middle of that tri-tip. And as you can see, setting the probe in the middle, it's reading 122, which is 2 degrees warmer than my other thermometer, which is fine. I knew it was off by about 2 degrees. So, with that being said now, sometimes, as you can see, it's going to take a little bit to probe it, and it is going to be a little bit of a pain. But what you got to do, use separate thermometers, double, triple check your area. I know that searing it on that side was not enough to raise it 30 degrees in temperature. So I checked it, and I was getting a range anywhere from 115 to 122. So I know somewhere around 117, 118. So I'm going to set my thermometer to about 132 to soak up the difference. So I know it should be somewhere between 128 and 130 when this is complete. So I will catch you guys back when we are done. We're probably looking about another 15 minutes or so to give this total cook an hour and 10 minutes. And then we'll bring it in, rest it, and go from there. I'll see you back here shortly. All right, guys, we are back. We are at 129 degrees. And right in the middle between that 250 to 300 range I wanted to be at. We've been stabilized between 275 and 280 for a little while now. It's 129. I'm going to probe it here in a minute. That took, like I suspected, about another 10 minutes, and we have great color. We have a great looking product. So I'm just going to go in here, and we're just going to see right here in the underside of it where we're looking at. 126, 127. We are at 129, which is really close to where that is, where it's at. 129 there, 131 on the flatter side there. So we're pretty much right in the middle, around 130. So I'm going to say this is good. We're going to pull it. I'm going to bring it inside to let it rest, and we're going to slice into it and let you know what we got, and we will go from there. All right, guys, so we are back. I just want to give you a close-up here. I want you to see that right here, these lines, these are the grains of tri-tip. You can actually see them pretty easily, even after they're cooked. So it's something that's not going to be hard to determine where the grain is, especially when you're doing tri-tip, if it's your first time or you're a veteran with it. It's just one of those things, it's not hard to determine at the end of the cook. So I want you to see here, this has been on for roughly an hour and 10 minutes. It's been resting now for about 7 minutes, and it's pretty much all I can stand. We have some really, really good smelling tri-tip in front of us. So what we're going to kind of do is we're just going to cut down the beef here this way to separate that part of the beef that I was talking about that has the grain, because it changes. So we're going to go through here. It's cutting through like butter. And I want you to see we have, it's kind of hard to see on camera, but I want you to see we've got, you know, there's a very, very little smoke ring. Not much though. But we kind of have that juiciness. And you can see here we have some juice running underneath. And we have that pink medium rare center to this tri-tip. It's a pink medium rare, very similar to like a prime rib. So we know we're right in the ballpark of that 125 to 135 range. So I'm going to slice this tri-tip against the grain here. And we're just going to take a look at that. We have some nice, a little bit cooked on the outside, slight bit of smoke ring, and a little bit of that tri-tip there, redness. So we are going to go through here. We're going to take a peek and we're going to see how she tastes. I just want to get a little bit more off. That's a big chunk for my liking. We're going to taste both pieces here. Super tender. It's moist. Whatever fat was in that tri-tip rendered down due to that low and slow. We do have a predominant smoky flavor to this. And it does have a little bit of heat going to it. And that's part of why, and I want you to see closely, you can see how going against the grain has allowed that inner little muscular fat right there to render down in between. And you can see that we're dripping here. Underneath, we got moisture. We have rendered fat. This tri-tip is not dry at all in the least bit. That outer crust is phenomenal. You have the sear on there. You have the seasoning with a little bit of heat. I first said the smokiness was predominant. I think that's from the paprika in some of the seasoning. The smoky flavor is there, you can tell. But it's different than we thought. Or at least what I thought. So we're just going to go through this end piece here. And we want you to show you that even with doing it that way like that, you're still walking away with pink all the way around. It's full of flavor, full of juice. It's just a phenomenally cooked product. This is my favorite way to do tri-tip, and I really hope y'all can learn from it. I had to go in there for another taste. This is what we're left with. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to spin it around so y'all can see that we have that medium rare center all the way around. We have some texture from the seasoning there. And you can actually see the grain right there. And guys, if you got a kettle grill and you cook with charcoal, you got to give this recipe a try. I mean, this is my favorite way to eat tri-tip, let alone cook it. These are perfect for steak sandwiches, perfect as a roast. You can do whatever you want. And look at that cutting board. You can see that that cutting board is full of juice. So it's just a great way to eat tri-tip. If you guys like what I'm doing, please feel free to hit the like button, subscribe. I want to try to bring you as many different videos as I possibly can, and I want to do different styles of cooking for you that I possibly can. Only way to do that is if you subscribe and hit the like button. If you like what we're doing here, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll be able to further assist you with any questions you have. So I'll see you on the next video. And please, again, hit the like and subscribe button if you like what we're doing. Thank you.